Hey, what's up, guys? Jesse from The Air I Breathe. I've been getting a lot of requests online to do an instructional video on sweep picking, so here we go. Alright, the first thing you want to do when you start sweeping is you want to make sure you get the proper right hand motion down. And this is pretty much a single motion. It's pretty much a slow strum. When you're sweeping, the thing you want to avoid is to down pick every single note like this. Because although that's probably easier in the beginning, once you get fast, down picking that fast is going to be literally impossible. I mean, maybe not impossible, but very hard. So what you're going to do is you're going to literally take your pick and you're going to glide it across the strings in a controlled manner so that you're playing the notes in rhythm. It's pretty much a slow strum. If I had a chord like this chord right here, and I wanted it to ring out like that, I would go, just glide my pick across. That same pattern can be swept. So, and then the second thing you want to do is with your left hand, you want to make sure that you're pushing down one note at a time. You don't want any notes to ring together. So you don't want this, because that's a chord. You want it to sound like this. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to, first off, you're going to pick up your finger after you play the note. So I play this note and then I pick it up, and then I pick up that finger to play this next note, and then those are the two things you want to keep in mind while you're sweeping. The third thing you want to keep in mind is when you're first learning, you want to play it very slowly, extremely slowly. And you also want to play it to a metronome, because that's the only way you're going to get it fast and clean, is to start slow and play to a metronome. When I first started doing this, I literally played it like this fast. Maybe even a little slower than that. The point is, you want to get the technique down. You want to make sure it sounds perfect before you move on to a faster speed. Now the sweep, or I guess the shape that I'm going to show you today, it's a 5-string sweep, and it's a minor arpeggio. It's one of the first sweeps I learned when I was learning how to sweep. And it's pretty much this. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the fret numbers. It's 17 on the high E, and then 13 on the high E string, 15 on the B string, 14 on the G string, 15 on the D string, 17 on the A string, and then 12 on the A string. 17, 13, 15, 14, 15, 17, 12. Now, I guess we'll start coming down the arpeggio. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off with an upstroke, this way. And you're going to hit the first note, and then you're going to, right away, you're going to do a pull-off. And while you're doing that pull-off, to avoid, picking each note like with your right hand, you're going to make sure that during that pull-off, your pick is already resting on the B string, waiting to hit it when the time comes. See, right now, my pick is already resting on the next string, waiting to hit it right now. And then after you do that, the rest of the notes are just, continuing the motion, but there's actually a small break in the motion for that pull-off. But to make sure that you're not picking each note, you're going to keep the pick resting on that next string, so that you can keep gliding it across when the time comes. And then, so you're going to upstroke, pull off, up, 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 and then here's where you're going to switch to a downstroke. To come back, up the arpeggio. And when you switch, you're going to 12 is your first downstroke, and then you're going to do a hammer on to 17, And during the hammer-on, it's the same thing as the pull-off. During the hammer-on, you're going to make sure your pick is resting on the D string, waiting to hit it when the time comes. That way you're not going, and you're going. My right hand is just going. There's a small break in the motion, but if you practice with a metronome, you'll get it down, and when you play it at high speeds, it won't be a problem at all. So, basically, if you're going to play the whole arpeggio, the way I'm showing you, you would do. It's up, pull off, up, 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 down, hammer on, down, 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 up. When you practice, make sure that you always use a metronome. It's very important. People think, oh, I don't need a metronome, but you do. No matter what, you definitely need a metronome because that's the only way you can monitor your progress. When I first started, sweep picking, I used to practice very, very slowly, and that's honestly the only way to get good because, yeah, you can try and start fast, but you're not going to get it clean, the notes aren't going to be even, and then when you go try and put this in a song or a riff, it's going to sound absolutely horrible. I know a lot of people, they think, oh, sweeping, yeah, this, and then play with their fingers, so their sweeps literally sound like this. Like, that's not cool at all. That doesn't sound like a sweep, it sounds like absolute shit. So now we have our metronome, and I'm going to put this very, very slowly. I'm going to put this at 60 beats per minute right now. And we're just going to do one note per beat, so it'll be technically a quarter note, but when you play it up to speed, these would be triplets, 3 notes a beat. But for now, we'll just do down, 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 down. So when you practice it, you're going to make sure you're on beat also, because that's the main point of a metronome. You're going to start and you're just going to go. Now pay close attention to my right hand and my left hand when I do this. I'm picking up on my fingers. I'm making sure that I'm using one motion. Even though it's very slow, I'm still using one motion. I'm never taking my pick. I'm never picking up my hand and picking more than once. It's still just one motion, and that's very important. And when you're first starting this out, let me shut off this metronome. When you're first starting this out, your left hand isn't going to know what to do. It's not going to be in your muscle memory. So you're going to have to play it really slow, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be boring, but it's just going to take repetition and time. And if you put the time in, I promise that you will get really good because in theory, it's not hard at all to sweep. You're just doing this and moving your fingers. So once you get it down, it's like memorizing a chord, switching chords. It's the same kind of thing. It just becomes second nature, and then you don't even have to think about it. But for right now, if you're just starting out, you have to make sure that you play it slow. You have to make sure you're using the right technique. And then, over time, you can speed it up. Maybe you practice for 2 days at 60 beats per minute, and then you switch it to 63. And then 2 days later, you switch it to 66. And I've noticed with myself, anything I learn, it's always very slow going in the beginning, and then one day it just clicks into my muscle memory, and I can progress much quicker. So just keep that in mind as you're doing it. It's not about speed. It's not about anything. It's literally just about the technique, doing it right, doing it clean, and doing it in time. And those 3 things with lots of repetition with the metronome, and you definitely will get it down. No problem. Alright, you can also, start the arpeggio on the bottom like this. And it's very important that you practice them starting here and starting them here. because you're playing, you're obviously going to encounter both. And now I want to show you a little exercise that that you can use to practice changing positions, um, while you're sweeping, because obviously you're going to have to do that eventually. Pretty much what it is you're going to use the shape I taught you. You're going to start on the bottom, and then you're going to shift it down one fret, and then another fret, and then another fret. So make sure you practice to a metronome, and it's just going to be like this. And then start over on 12. And that's a good exercise to do to get used to position switches. Make sure you practice it to a metronome, and remember, it's getting it clean and in rhythm before speed always, and speed will just come. Alright guys, thanks for watching my lesson. If you have any questions, if you need tabs, if you want me to do another lesson or anything else, just email me, let me know. Alright, metal.